Hello, Scorpio. How are you doing today? Hopefully, you're doing well. It's so good to see everybody today. We're going to be looking at messages coming through for the next 6 to 8 weeks for your sun, rising, and for your moon sign. And you can also watch this for any aspect of your chart that you would like. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Apollo will join us later. He's taking a nap right now. That's my dog, if you're not familiar with my channel. But we have a lot to talk about today, so it's good that it's just you and I to begin here. I'd like to kind of just run down what to expect, and then we're going to get straight into all of the messages that are coming through. So I always begin with channeled messages. I've had a chance to record all of those here. That's what I was doing before I got started. The channeled messages to me come through dreams, meditation, and also spirit totems. It's nature that speaks to me. And basically, I use my raw intuition at the beginning. Then we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross and see the messages that are coming through about positive changes, some of the challenges that you might be also experiencing. And then I'm giving you sort of the roadmap to make the choices that are best for you. I'm here to kind of like show the different paths and open it up. I'm a big proponent of free will. After we look at that Celtic Cross, I'll expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way we can kind of let the main messages come through without forcing them in a certain sort of shape or form. We'll do a mini review and then go a little bit deeper into something that I call the soul path. And the soul path is the big so what of the month, the big opportunity. And again, maybe the big challenge. After we do all of this, we'll do a quick meditation. And then at the very end, if you have any questions, save it until then, and you can send it to me in a meditation, basically. So a silent question, I'll pull a card and I'll give you an answer. So again, I'm looking forward to reading for you today with all the messages that are coming through. And why don't we get started here? A couple of quick notes. First of all, thanks to Maria. She's going to be my moderator today. If you have any high-level questions, she'll be here to help you answer those and point you in the right direction. Let me also just put a link to my website in case you have any questions about, who I am, what I do, what my schedule is. All that information is right here, and I'm going to pin that link for you right now, and including upcoming broadcasts and whatnot. Okay, if you'd like to show support during this reading, I'd love for you to do that. A way that you can do that is by clicking on this little icon here. And special thanks to James and to Melissa and everyone else who's had a chance to do that. Thank you so much. I'll periodically try to say thank you, but if not, know that my moderators will notice. And at the very end, I look at the whole video again and I look at the chat. So I do read the whole chat afterwards. You can also show thanks through the super thanks icon right by share. This helps me do more videos. I'm going to start something new over the course of the rest of this month and next month, and that's going to be collective Sundays, where basically everybody can show up and I'll do an all signs reading. So with your support, I've been able to do this. So keep it coming and we'll see what else we can do. Okay, let's talk about your totem today. So your spirit totem is one of my favorite symbols, actually. This is one of the divine masculine. I feel like a lot of times we focus on divine feminine. So this is a really cool symbol that comes through to kind of balance things out. And it's the peacock. So let me get a beautiful picture here of the peacock. Honestly, one of the most beautiful birds on the planet, I think. Love the iridescent feathers, the blue, the green, and kind of all the in-between. So it's a gorgeous bird, isn't it? We're going to kind of geek out on this a little bit too, because I was learning some facts about how the feathers work and also kind of what the crown is. I guess what is it called? I'll think about it in a second, but basically they have this sort of Trojan-like crown and it kind of picks up vibrations. So there's some sort of like psychic energy with these birds that I like as well. So I'm specifically speaking of the male version of this because I guess it's called peafowl if it's all of them, peahens if it's the female, and then peacock is the male. So we'll be looking at the male energy in the birds here, a divine masculine symbol that's reminding you to be bold, to stand up and to be counted, to take action and step into the spotlight. Very much, to me, kind of connected with emperor energy, star energy, kind of getting out there, being seen and taking action. The iridescent feather coloration in this is in their feathers is achieved with these crystal-like structures that create the feathers, and they reflect different wavelengths depending on their arrangement. So if you take a little close look at these feathers, and I'm going to show you a crystal that I have that kind of mimics this a little bit, but when you look really closely at it, you can see that they kind of have a texture to them. They're not just simple feathers. There's these kind of like I don't want to call it a rough texture, but there's all these little tiny things in here. Sorry, there's a sound there. But yeah, basically, this is a really, really cool technique that they have to attract, to create, to transmute. For those of you that enjoy crystals, I have something called labradite that, if I can get the reflection just right, there we go. See that? Same sort of thing that a peacock feather can do. So in one angle, it looks like this, but as you sort of, it's really cool, right? This kind of has multiple levels of, to me, it's one of my favorite stones because you can use it for grounding, but it can also, because it has this sort of iridescence in here, it kind of connects to the other chakras. So there you go. When I first saw this feather, it reminded me of a peacock. And you can kind of see the same energy here in their feathers. And I thought, how cool that they kind of have, maybe it's not technically crystals, but crystalline structures that basically they're working with light, right? They're working with wavelengths. So I'm going to talk about it in a second, but hummingbirds do a similar thing. So do certain types of butterflies. So I think it's a really beautiful energy. Crest is the word that I couldn't think of earlier. So the crest of a peahen is able to pick up on the vibrations that a peacock makes when it opens up that plume. This is still a male version here, but it's basically those little feathers at the top of their heads. They're not just for decoration. When it's on the female birds, basically they can pick up the vibrations that the males make when they open up that beautiful fan of feathers, which I thought was really cool. So basically, they're using this sort of higher frequency communication in order to communicate, which I think is really always interesting. There was something recently that I was also looking into where there was like ultrasonic communication, but this happens a lot in nature. There's high frequencies that we don't really hear. And just because we don't hear it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. This is the same thing that's kind of, I think we're starting to understand with metaphysics. It's always good to be skeptic. I think it's good to sort of do the research and do the science behind things. But as you start to look into it more, the things that we once thought were crazy aren't so crazy. The other kind of fun thing, and I was reading that article in The Atlantic, that's where that photo was from, but it actually kind of gets into the head space of the female peahen, all of that vibration. So it's kind of like they can only focus on one thing. So nature's crazy, isn't it? And I guess that's kind of a metaphor for when you're really kind of falling in love with someone. It's like a crush or infatuation. This is also a reminder that sometimes it is just hormones or pheromones, or you have to kind of ground yourself. And I also liked that message, even though I didn't get a chance to scribble it down, because this was kind of getting in someone's head more than it needed to. It was ephemeral. It was a crush. It's sort of like a momentary thing that was necessary here in nature to make sure that the species continues. But in our own lives, as sort of evolved species, we have to sometimes pick apart like an infatuation or an obsession with something that's real or not real. And I think that message is coming through as I was looking at the sort of way that these birds are communicating and getting in each other's heads a little bit. So if you're feeling like that sense of, and it can also just be someone that's driving you crazy, by the way. So if someone that you work with is annoying, or if someone in your family has a way of pushing your buttons and you're just kind of in that thought process, change your frequency, tune them out, change this sort of what you're deciding to pick up, and kind of pull those feathers in or put them in another direction. I think that's the important thing there, is that we don't have to unnecessarily allow people into our headspace. That's your domain. So that's an important thing with meditation in general. And one of the key things that comes through meditation is control and understanding and discernment of your energy versus other people's energy, and also boundaries with respect to energy. I think that's so incredibly valuable. All right. The other thing that I was looking at here is tuning into what's being said, looking beyond the noticeable, the obvious, and tuning into nonverbal, into body language, eye contact, also word choice. Sometimes people can be crying for help but saying something completely plain. Sometimes someone's flirting with you, but you can't tell. So I would just ask, ask for some clarity. Say, is there anything else you want to talk about? Or I'm picking up on maybe some, it sounds like you might be frustrated. Is there something that you want to say? Open it up so that you're letting them know that there's room. I do think that at some point you can't take a leap of faith if somebody is not ready to kind of go there yet. So if it's like a new job opportunity and you're interviewing someone, but they lack the confidence and you know that there's a role and you need someone confident, you're not going to force someone into that role. If there's a relationship and someone's not ready yet, you need to kind of move on and wait for that person to get to that same energy. So, but you can pick up on it and let the person know that it's safe to talk to you about it. I think opening and holding space is the mature and elevated way to kind of handle that. You never want to force a card. You never want to force energy, but you can just acknowledge it and say, hey, if you ever want to talk about this, my door is always open. That's the way to do it. All right. As I said earlier, hummingbirds, butterflies have a very similar energy to them, also the same iridescence, and they have the same ability to move. I don't have time to write everything down on the cards, but I just researched this, so I know this. Yes, the peacocks can actually fly. Even with that large trail of feathers behind them, they do have the ability to fly. And so for those of you that are feeling like there's just so much going on in your life and you're afraid, can I do this? How am I going to handle all of this? The fact that they kind of have this 10 of Wands energy on their back, because that's what that trail of feathers is. It's telling me that if they can do it, you can do it. And so they're carrying a little bit more of a load there, but in the moment, they just don't give up. They're able to fly. Not fly a lot, but they can fly. So you have this ability to kind of lift yourself up and get to the next portion of the road, to finalize something, to finish what you've started, basically. Another cool fact that I found out, and I don't think I knew this prior to today, is that, again, the male birds, the peacocks, oftentimes lose their feathers at the end of the summer. This process called molting, basically. And this, for some of you, is an indication of what you need to let go. There might be, I said that baggage could be there. It could be good. It could be bad. If you don't want it, let it go. Part of the reason that they molt is so that the feathers can renew, because those little structures kind of get, marred up a bit. They're not going to be as shiny. It's not going to look good next year when they need to mate. So they get rid of that so that they can regenerate. So loss is not always the end. Sometimes it's a way for you to renew. So letting go, again, opens space for something new. So that's, I think, one of the ways that we can collect the feathers without harming the birds. You just wait for the molting to happen. You collect the feathers, and then that's what we normally see in the stores. All right, let's move on to the next messages here. Speaking of moves, they actually kind of woke me up, my guides, this morning and said 2 to 3 months, there's a big shift coming for the sign. So let them know. So I think the speed with which some of these changes happens is totally up to you. What I saw was a doorway that was being blocked or barricaded shut, a bunch of stuff against it. And to me, that shows resistance on your part for a necessary movement or shift. This move doesn't have to be a physical move. It could be a changing of decision, a movement within your heart space. It could also be someone coming into your life, but the fact that the door was blocked tells me that it's difficult. And I did see some sort of an energy, hard for me to discern what, waiting on the other side. So I feel like there's something ready. There's something that wants to knock on the door and open up a new opportunity for you. But I felt resistance on your part. I felt pushing back on your part. So take a look at what might be keeping you present in your current situation, what it is you're trying to manifest, what you're looking forward to. And if it's fear, if it's uncertainty, if it's like a blanket of safety that you're wrapping around you, I get it. But I also saw something cool waiting for you. So be open. I think the main thing here is you don't have to immediately accept or decide to jump into that change, but at least to be open to what change is available to you. That's really powerful. And I think that's important. Yeah. That's basically what I said here. And then I would say, I also want you to clear your intentions. Yesterday, we were talking about, I think, the 7 of Cups and the 7 of Wands, and sometimes all the 7s where we can get a lot in our heads sometimes, or we're not working as intelligently as we can. So clearing your intentions is really important so that the universe knows how, when, and or if to show up. And I think right now, there is a little bit of cloudiness or a little bit of fogginess or a little bit of energy that's blocking the door, the portal. A lot of times my guides will work in metaphors. So that door is just a portal of opportunity. So the more you can clear your mind, heart, and intentions on what it is you want, the quicker that can happen, the more those sort of obstructions can clear. And the easier it's going to get, which I think is the whole point. Okay. This part was fun. I saw a dance ensue, that there was basically two people dancing. I didn't look at genders. I didn't look at age. Sometimes I just see energies, and I think a lot of intuitives understand what I'm talking about. I just saw two figures, and each partner took a chance taking the lead. Collaboration and partnership is give and take. And this can be friendship. This can be collaboration at work. This can be love. Whatever it is showing that it's not like we're getting at the fact that the peacock came through is a very divine masculine energy that also has this sort of flamboyant or showman sort of side. And so I think that what we're seeing is a blurring of lines. Roles don't have to be the same. Gender roles don't have to be the same. Age roles, just roles in general, they don't really matter because the bodies that we choose change every lifetime. We've been everything. Every gender, every sex, every religion, we've been everything at some point, or we will be. So the sooner we all realize that, the sooner this is going to be a better planet. And the sooner we realize that we're coming back here again and again, we'll take care of each other and we'll take care of the planet better. So the collaboration, have fun. If someone wants to do something and they're good at it, let them. If you want to do something and they won't let you do it, that is sort of a great signifier that this isn't maybe the best connection. We want divine masculine and feminine energies that can cohabitate and coexist without sort of competition. And I think that's what I was seeing, was a peaceful taking of turns, you know? So if you can do that, great. If you can't, it's a sign that the collaboration or the partnership or the job or the relationship, wherever this sort of interplay is taking place, probably isn't the most ideal. You could find something that is, more suited to you, okay? The last piece that came through in my meditation this morning was to slow down and to get a chance to dream and recharge. I like to talk about the 9 of Pentacles card sometimes with that little snail at the bottom. It's not just there for fun. It's there to remind you that through mindful, slow, steady, methodical work comes the abundance that you would see in the 9 of Pentacles, which is, you know, this sort of flowering tree or bush or whatever. It's a money tree basically behind this person. I believe she sometimes has a peacock on her shoulder, which is why this is coming into my mind. It can be just a fancy bird. Doesn't have to just be that, but sometimes. But basically it's saying, I've gotten to this point where I have more than enough, but I did this through being patient, being persistent, kind of pushing through. And the past couple of signs in my collective reading yesterday, and then when I was reading for Libra, we had these energies of persistence coming through, like the aloe was what came through yesterday, and then morning glory before that. For you, it's more of this sort of, there's that flamboyant energy, but there's a connection to what this is all about. This is your time to shine. This is your time to step into an opportunity. And the spotlight may not be shining just yet. It might even be on the other side of that door, but I'm going to try to help you get through the door today and see what's on that other side. Okay. I want you to act over the next month, 6 to 8 weeks, usually these forecasts are good for, as if the dreams that you have are already a reality, because that is the magnetic and the magical part of that. And that's the sort of practical magic element of this. So when you start to live, breathe, and believe the dream, even before the dream has happened, then you pull the energy toward you because you're no longer wanting it. You're existing within it. You're holding space for it. You're manifesting it. And so that's what today's about. So someone said this is deep. Yeah, it is deep. We're going to help you through this. I'm not just talking about if your boyfriend's coming back, your girlfriend's coming back. We're going to look at how to change things in your life. So you already see that coming. You already know what's going on around you. And you're kind of like, again, the creative energy. We talked about this in the collective yesterday. It's not just like you're not just picking up on things. You're also broadcasting things. And so understanding that you are constantly broadcasting and receiving is the powerful piece. And that's how you become an agent of change in your own life. All right, let's stack up these cards and take a look and see what's coming through in the Celtic Cross. Thanks to everyone for joining today. I hope your week is getting off to a good start today. Thanks again to everyone that's shown some support. I appreciate it. Special thanks to Melissa, to James, and to Ange. I appreciate it. All right, so as I take a look here at the Celtic Cross, this is going to span, like I said, the next 6 to 8 weeks, and we're really just going to get to the heart of the matter and see what is important. I try not to put too much emphasis on what it should be. Let's just let the cards do the walk, and I'm going to help you afterwards discern what it's all about. All right, so let me focus, and I'll be right back in a minute. And if you need the name to my deck, you can go to my website. These are all on my website. I saw my moderator asked. I don't know it off the top of my hand. It's divine something. So let's take a look here. I don't list my oracle cards yet, just because I have a lot, but I do list all the tarot cards. It's under frequently asked questions decks that I use. I also listed in the comments or the description below the video, you'll see a list to all my decks, so you can find out what I'm using there. Thank you. Maria just posted the link. Yeah, Tarot of the Divine, that's it. Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't always kind of do advertisements for the decks because I just want to focus on the messages coming through, which is why I put that link there. And you can usually identify it by the pictures. This is a cool deck because it has fairy tales in it. And I think when I have a little spreadsheet where I keep track of what I use, but I always put like the fairy tale piece because they have retellings of classic fairy tales on the cards, which is kind of cool. All right, let's take a look now at the messages for your sign this month. We have super powerful animal totems that came through in the final cards, and both of them have transformative energy. The seahorse to me is very similar to the peacock as well, because it's another divine masculine that has a really beautiful sort of divine feminine side, because they actually carry the eggs of their young. I remember that. And we talked yesterday about this, the starfish. So more on that in a second. All right, let's begin with your catalyst. So own your own mastery is the message here, and the word is the return. The card was reversed. Some of you may actually be on an important sort of like solar return. It could be birthdays coming up. There could also be maybe like a Saturn return. For the rest of you, this return can just be a return to something that you love. And it's cosmic and guided. And I think that's great. It's never too late along your journey to go back and sort of like achieve a goal or revisit something that you really wanted to explore. And so kind of ask yourself, do an internal audit and think, what is it that I want to come back to? What is it that I want to focus on? And I think that's going to help you out here. Also, kind of like getting back to what we talked about this yesterday. One of the blocks can sometimes just be like a lack of passion or a lack of desire. So if you're waking up and feeling uninspired with whatever it is, your relationship, your job, school, activities, if you're retired, this is a time to sort of like reorganize and think, well, why am I doing that? You don't have to. We can pluck ourselves out of a situation at any given time. It takes a little bit of work and timing. And I've talked about my own sort of journey before, but when I decided to leave my job, I had to basically think about it 2 years prior to quitting, because I had to clean up aspects of my life, have enough money, figure out what I was going to do. It wasn't something where I just quit immediately. I waited a long time, paid things off, saved things up, calculated things, planned as much as I could. And then finally I got to a point where I thought, all right, so your return, your decision, your movement could be as quick as next week or today, or it might take 2 years. Whatever it takes, that's your journey. That's your sort of decision. All right, let's go to the center. Your center card is the Knight of Swords. The Knight is reversed. So oftentimes when we have a Knight of Swords reversed, the timing, like I just talked about, could be frustrating because you see it or want it or feel that it could happen quicker, but there may be some sort of a limitation. So sometimes the speed is off. This is also a card of like speaking your truth and speaking up. So when the card is reversed, it's saying, don't be afraid to be direct. Don't be afraid to be the conduit, the one that's asking or conveying the information. Sometimes I read comments and people, I mean, when it's love, I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing interest, but people will say, well, I'm old fashioned and I just want people to come to me. there may be a long wait then if you're doing that, because other people may have the same thoughts. I think we can miss out on things if we don't express thoughts. If someone says no, move on. That's good. You got your truth and you're not going to waste time. I think there's nothing lost with expressing yourself. If that's just not your style, don't worry about it. But this is kind of saying come out of your shell and say what you need to say or ask the question. You have the power to handle whatever comes your way, and you're mature enough and you're strong enough. And again, we're getting past these roles where someone has to do something or someone has to take the lead or whatever. Let's just talk. And that's basically what the core of that card is. Let's talk. And this is a shift of perspective when we look at the Five of Cups. Oftentimes, there's a need first to mourn or acknowledge that something didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. There is a mourning in this card. But there's also a celebration of what's possible. I like to remind folks that there's always a hidden Two of Cups in the background, which means that there's partnership, there's collaboration, there's plenty to be grateful for. These things might have just been the stepping stones that helped you find that higher thing, usually a relationship or something that you really like. So the sooner that you can release this, the sooner you can get to this. There's no expiration date on grieving. You take your time, but I'm reminding you there's some cool stuff waiting for you. Okay, so maybe that helps you start to look in different directions. Remembering the feathers that I talked about earlier, that those crystals, the iridescence, it has to sort of be looking in the right direction to kind of get that magical glow. Let's see if I've got the right side here. Yeah, it only hits the light on the, what is it, this side? It's this side. You have to like really try to get that there it is, to get that magical thing. So if you're not tuned in to just the right direction, yeah, there it is. See, it took a little bit. So take time to look around, because something at first could just seem sort of banal, but then as you start to look, there's some really cool stuff. So I want you to look around you. There might be something shiny like that, but you're not looking at it from the right angle. You're just taking first glance and you're not looking beneath the surface. That's what's cool about that crystal. Stuff beneath the surface is shining, not the polished exterior. All right, we have the Knight of Wands reversed, also now here in the deep past. Two knights. So we're looking at action and communication and timing being off. You may have someone in your life where you just can't seem to kind of be on the same mental page, or when you talk or when you communicate, it's differently. This is a very verbal card, and this is a very demonstrative card. This one kind of works intuitively from the mind and from the heart. And this one is very kind of like thinking it through and speaking it through. So there could be some challenges in partnerships this month, because this person may close down if you're just talking. They're showing you stuff and they have things to say, but they say it differently. So I want you again to pay attention to the nonverbal communications going on around you, because someone may be doing what you're asking, but maybe not just in the way that you thought that they would be doing it. Or the message that you're conveying, it's sort of like to them, it's like you're talking at them. This could also be you if someone's talking at you but not listening to you, and not also listening to what you're doing or paying attention to what you're doing. I think that's key. So really tune into what's going on around you, because it feels like there's more in common than there is different. Knights should get along. They have a similar code of conduct. They have a similar way of acting. But the fact that you're communicating, and the wands reverse can be a shutdown way of like, this is the only way I can do it, this way or the highway. And I think there's a better way to kind of think about that. All right. You might need some distance here. We have the Six of Swords, and the Six of Swords can be taking a holiday, a break, a vacation, a little time off. This is, to me, a little easier to deal with than hermiting energy. This is saying, hey, I just need to take the long weekend, take a week off, whatever, and clear my head. This goes back to some of the channeled messages earlier. And so Scorpio, you might just need a chance to empty out some of the emotional baggage, because you're a passionate sign, you're empathic, you take on a lot. So when you get out into nature, when you take a break from what it is that you're connected to, things start to become clearer. The clouds start to clear in the sky. There could be someone that's moving on. You could be the one that's moving on. And with this, there's nothing bad with the Six of Swords. I actually like it. Again, it's movement, it's change, it's transformation. Normally when you would see a Rider-Waite-Smith version of this, you would see a little like a shadow or a ghost in the back of the boat. And so some of you may nearly be through some sort of a change, a decision, or a movement in your life, but there's just a little shadow of doubt. There's just a little something from the past that is still kind of like in your energy. So I want you to really think about what it is you're trying to do, and and just kind of like surrender to the fact, like I said, imagine that the dream is already a reality and not worry so much about, did I make a mistake? What if I would have done this? Because the ghost can just be all of those questions. How could I have changed this? What could I do? Instead, think like, what am I going to do now? How will I make things better in the future? Rather than trying to rewind the script and do it differently. Okay. When I was studying, like I was an English minor, and when I read a bunch of books in 20th century novel, I remember reading The Great Gatsby and thinking, why is this guy so stuck in the past? Because basically that's what he wants to do. He thinks he can go back and change the past. So we don't want to have like Gatsby's mistake here. We want to be able to live in the present and let go of stuff. You can't force things if they don't exist. You can't change the past, but you can definitely learn from it. All right, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse in a crowning position. This ace is going to help you get through stuff. Notice how there's all these knots. It's kind of like a web here. So this is your chance to kind of go through the cobwebs in your head, through any of the energies around you where they're not necessarily kind of like lifting you up. There's strings attached, and this is going to cut through that. So some of what you have to do is simply say no. A lot of times a swords card in reverse, particularly like this one, or Justice, which isn't a swords card, but she's carrying a sword. When I see it in reverse, it's basically saying no, or not this, or let's make a change. So this indicating a beginning of something new would say, in order for me to do this, we need to stop something. I need to say no to this. I need to be discerning. So be discerning and create your own web. Don't get caught in other people's stuff, right? All right. So we have the Star card here, which is fantastic. This is, like I said, what I was kind of picking up on with the peacock energy. This is your chance to be seen. And irrespective of gender, because the star is kind of divine feminine energy, we have a chance here for everybody to step into the spotlight, to be their true self. The spotlight doesn't have to be attention. This doesn't mean that you're like an actor on stage. The Star card can also just be you really connecting to your divine purpose. And when you do that, you shine. You're radiant, right? So the sooner you can step into what it is you're supposed to be doing, the better. I can't remember which sign I did this for. I think, actually, I do now. I think it was Virgo. I put a series of questions together for Virgo, so you can check out the description or my Twitter or whatever and see this. But just like the big and important questions in your life, like what am I really happy doing? Do I like the people that I'm around? What's the impact? What's the legacy that I'm making? That's a sort of like paraphrasing of all of them. I probably put about 5 or 6. I want you to kind of do the soul searching that's necessary to really figure out, if you don't like who you are, where you're at, or who's around you, then figure out what you do. As a kid, it's easier for us. We get to kind of go into our headspace and think, well, maybe I'll be, a firefighter, maybe I'll be a doctor, maybe I'll be an artist. We can still do that. So I want you to kind of go back into what feels right for you, not what your parents want, not what your partner wants, not what your kids think you can do, your friends. We have all these limiting forces, and a lot of times people that we love. So you are you, and you can do your own frequency and your own sort of energy best, and you know what's possible. So go back to that. You've got it. You never lost it. So the good news for you is that if you are surrendering and in that sort of energy, this is a breakout moment for many of you. So the Star card can indicate like a culmination of a lot of hard work, like I talked about with the 9 of Pentacles, that have led to this moment where you can step into something great. Just don't let yourself be held back. Don't mute, don't edit, don't fear. Just keep going with it. One of the gifts of tarot is it got me out of my head. I don't have a choice but to kind of like, I have to go with the flow of the cards. I'm tuning in and I'm interpreting, but Spirit's working through me. And it's kind of cool because I don't have to worry. So none of us really have to worry when we tune into Spirit. Okay. So tune into it. It'll give you a sense of freedom. And as long as you're going with that intuitive flow, you're going to be all right. All right. As a continuation of that, we have King of Cups. So this is a great card to represent you. It's in the sort of soul space. So you have an attractive energy this month, magnetic, not just sort of like you look good, but you do look good. This is you, by the way, too. This is a great card to come through for Scorpio. And I like that we have like a serpent or dragon on this particular card. You wouldn't always see that with the King of Cups. It's usually a gentler card. But this one, what I like about it is your passion is your power. And sometimes people take sensitivity as a weakness. It is not. It is a strength. Empathy is a strength. Being able to feel, to anticipate, to be sensitive, to be kind, to be caring is a strength. So I want you to see that as a strength and use it as such. lead by example. Be a sort of generous and kind leader and partner in life. Be that partner that I saw in my intuitive vision, where you were both kind of like taking turns dancing and letting one another lead, or follow occasionally. The card is upright. There's really nothing bad about this at all. And with the two connected, so this is your near future and this is your soul. Feel it, do it, like be in your sort of passionate state and express that, and good things will come. People will want to be around that kind of energy. Okay. And the other thing with this is it's a good time for new relationships. It's a good time to heal relationships. For some of you, there's this question of, again, should I stay? Should I go? You're the ones that are going to answer that. I see some direct questions. Just a reminder to save that for the end. You'll have a chance to answer your direct question at the end. In the meantime, listen, because I'm going to go through a lot of the questions that you're answering about health, wealth, love, and destiny. So you're going to get your answers if you just listen. As we look now at the environment, we have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles is a really important discerning card. With the Two of Pentacles, you have to make a decision. Six of Pentacles, you probably can do everything you want, but it'll take longer. Or, you'll have to sort of like say no to a couple of people, but you can usually tick off most of the things from the checklist that you have. With the Two of Pentacles, you have to decide what's the most important thing that I want to do right now. There's a triage energy to it. So I would say if you're looking at what's your best investment of time and energy, well, what feels more like you and what do you like doing the most? Where's the sort of energy of support at? What's more aligned to that high soul energy? When we're looking at finances here, the Two of Pentacles is telling me not to overextend yourself. It's also a work-life balance card, and I typically read it as just finding balance in your life, less about money. The fact that this is in your environment is telling me that people around you are kind of strapped for resources. So they may need more of your time. They may be running short on energy. They may be exhausted. And so what you're going to have to figure out is who deserves the energy the most. And unlike the Six of Pentacles, you can't kind of like spread yourself too thin. You're going to try to pick one thing that's going to be the best investment, maybe two, and that's it. You got to be mindful of that sort of thing. There can also be a timing energy with this, 1 to 2 months, which is kind of what I was picking up on as well. Okay. The next piece is hopes, fears, and opportunities, and we have the Page of Swords. So we have a lot of swords cards coming through. We got the Knight at the center reverse, which was saying like speak up. Maybe speed up the action, or if you need to slow down, something about the timing is off a little bit. Again, maybe say no to some things. And now once you start to do that, it feels like everything is opening up for you. This page is also listening. We see the little bird next to her ear or his ear. And there's basically the message here that you will probably gain more insight by listening, reading, researching, and tuning in than by having to sort of like boldly go out there and try to get attention. I think listen, some of the cues will come from that. Then you can ask the questions and you can say no. So that's all you really need to do here when we look at it as an opportunity, is to listen. All right. There could be an offer on the table for you too with pages. With the offer on the table, I definitely think that you should ask for what you need. There might be 2 sets of revisions that are coming through for a key contract. So if someone puts something out there, listen, ask, make no assumptions, and then make sure if there's something that you don't like, redline it. If there's something that you need, tag that on, and there might be a couple of exchanges if we're looking at a legal contract. And then finally, we have a successful card. This is in your outcome, 6 of Wands, and it's coupled with the star. This is a great month for you, Scorpio. Success is basically something that I see here. I see there are people looking for jobs, people looking for relationships. I like what this is. What's important, though, is do you like who you are and what you're doing and what's kind of around you? If you do, great, because I see more success in that area. I see a successful outcome. If you don't like it, don't do it, because this balance card was in the environment. And we see kind of like this family energy at the center. So for some of you, you need to make sure that you have that ability to be around the folks that you love and do the things that you love as well. It's not just about the title, the job, the opportunity. It's also like, is this enough? Is this giving me also what I need to just be happy and feel like myself? All right. Overall, I really like the energy. We're going to now expand it. And we're going to get some more information in health, wealth, career, and love and destiny. All right. So like I said, if you just listen, I will drill into all the areas that a lot of you are asking about. So let's start with your health message, and it's very clear here. So it says wake up call. I'm trying to make sure that the light doesn't blanch it out there. And we see tsunami at the top. So for many of you, there could be something that you've been putting off, and it's just catching up with you. So if you've been meaning to just eat healthier, exercise a little bit more, or if there's some emotional stuff that you're dealing with, because whenever I see the water, for me, it's that. We have the moon in the background as well, which can be fears or anxieties, or just the instinct to do something or not do something. I want you to listen to that calling and make a difference this month, because this card is kind of fear-based and everything else here today is not so much. So I feel like the fear is just picking up the phone or, going to an appointment if it's health related. And then you're gonna be able to walk away with a feeling of what you need to do and what's clearly wrong or not wrong. So don't be afraid. Ignorance is a sort of energy that pulls us down. Fear and ignorance work together. In the book that I wrote, I actually cast them as like shadows and characters. I do believe that they are energies that are out there that, it's more of a sort of palpable thing that we tap into. They don't necessarily have a personification, but they can pull us down. So don't be afraid. Just ask questions. Just get some help if you need it. Let me look at some specific messages in the cards and see what else I can pick up on for you. Again, I'm looking at, this is balance. It can be work-life balance. It can also be physical balance. So just be careful. This doesn't indicate necessarily a problem in the body like inner ear or vertigo, but it can indicate, I talked about this yesterday, we've had a lot of the same energies popping through, but this can indicate that you might miss something along the way, because this is usually a card of being distracted or being pulled too thin. So if you work too much, this is something where you could fall asleep at the wheel. It's something where you might be trying to text and walk and do all this stuff, and all of a sudden you trip and then you sprain your ankle. Just slow it down a little bit. More balance, more sleep, more rest. Saying no to some things is going to be key as well. Intuitive awakening for some of you. A tsunami card plus the star can be a kundalini awakening. It can be this sort of sudden sort of surge of intuitive energy. So meditate. That's the way to transmute that. Keep positive thoughts in your head. I'm all for constructive criticism, but with this being in the crown chakra, sometimes it's sort of saying, I can't, I won't, this isn't good, I'm not good enough. That sort of energy needs to be pushed away, and think instead like you can plan for the worst but expect the best. I think that's a better way to look at it than to kind of flip it around, and some of us expect the worst. So expect good things, but plan for rainy days just in case, and I think that will be good. And then just peer pressure. Anytime I see a positive card, an overtly positive card like this, and then a spotlight card like this, be kind to yourself if you're in a position where there's a lot of visibility. Mom, boss, celebrity, public official, you're never going to make everyone happy. So do the best that you can, and that's going to just lead to more positivity and success. You're never going to please everyone. I've learned that. You can try, but invariably there's always going to be someone that complains or thinks that they have a better way of doing it. So be kind to yourself. A lot of this is energetic, if you're noticing. There's not a lot physical. And even the Two of Pentacles could be managed by just taking care of yourself. So I really like what I see here. And then some of you just need a chance to do a little bit of to grieve or to decompress and to let go. So a vacation or a holiday would be great. Pretty good for you this month. By and large, I like it. Let's take a look now at your wealth card, your career card. All right, so choosing your path, choosing your own path, all is possible. So if you're trying to make a shift, trying to make a change, it looks good to me. We have a knight card here, or a knight in the center here. If you notice that, looks like it's the Knight of Swords. But we saw the Knight of Swords here at the center, which showed me that things could take longer than you expect. And also, I want you to be careful. I saw people that might be trying to interview. Remember what I was talking about with different communication styles. Take a pause. Listen to whoever it is that you're interviewing with, and make sure that they're hearing you. Make sure also that you've heard what they've asked you. So I want you to be in any conversation, whether it is about your job or about your money or about your life purpose, because career can touch all of these things. Just make sure that you're being seen and heard, and make sure that you're listening, seeing, and interpreting things correctly. You need to go through and validate communication. There could be a slowdown in someone getting back to you. You should just check in. It should just once, don't go crazy, just once, and say, hey, it was great talking to you. Where do we stand on this? This can be a coworker where you're asking like, what's going on with this? I'm counting on you. This can be a family member where maybe they owe you some money, or it can be a client where they owe you some money. Just say, hey, I sent the bills. Everything okay? Let me know if you have any questions, and do one more little push and see what happens with that. We do have a possibilities card here, so people may just be needing or waiting for that little extra piece there. But the most important thing here is that you choose your path and make sure that you're happy on the path that you're on. So if you're a student and you've studied a few years and you're like, you know what, I need to kind of get a different minor or major, do it if you need to. If you've gone to school, worked for 10 years or 20 years and think, I have a different calling, honor that calling and figure out if it makes sense or how it makes sense to kind of go about that change. Even if you're in a relationship and there's this feeling of, how do I connect with this anymore? I see you at a crossroads, basically. And like I said, this doesn't have to be something that happens today, tomorrow, overnight, but it looks like it's something that needs to happen eventually. So choose your path, and we see success on that path. If you are someone who owns a business or is looking for some sort of a breakthrough, I see some good movement on the horizon for you. Especially now or 6 months from now, we're looking at towards the end of the year, another push of good luck coming through with the star and the 6 of wands. I see a good couple of quarters ahead. So focus on that. And again, expect that good things are on the horizon. I'd like to see more abundance. And when I look at the soul path, I'm going to ask for more information. We only got one card and it's kind of limited. So if you're looking for help from others, there may be a limited amount. If you're trying to negotiate a deal on a house, for sure, you're going to have a hard time with the 2 of Pentacles there, because we know that there's like limited resources or limited availability. And if you're trying to get extra money or a raise right now, there may be limited potential for that. But your potential is not limited. But what I'm seeing is the environment that you're currently in, or the thing that you have your sights set on, there might be a better option out there. Keep looking, keep exploring. Okay. If you're retired, this is also like, just what am I spending my time and energy doing? Does it connect with me, or am I feeling sort of just spent after this? All right. So I see something better than what's around you. And so you might have to look like that crystal that I had. You might have to look around you a little bit until something shiny catches your attention and you know, that's the direction. All right, let's look at love and relationships here. It says, I gotta put my glasses on for this one. Look to your inner strength. You are stronger than you realize. Okay, so the relationships around you could be testing your resolve. There could be some people at like your children. There could be people at work. There could be a best friend that's kind of popping up and just getting on your last nerve. You have what's necessary to be able to push through this. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. I would say just kind of find your strength, find your voice. And let's specifically now look at relationships here. I like to look at it in 3 different facets. We're going to look at those for those of you that are in a relationship, those that are looking for love, and those that are single or unhappy or just not focused on it. So if you're in a relationship, I kind of highlighted this already. We'll pull the card down though, or the camera down here. There's actually a couple things that pop up as I'm looking at this for relationships. I feel like one partner might actually be on a really positive uptick here with the star card. So they're getting recognition. There's a breakout or standout moment. And there's probably some more opportunity and expansion on the horizon. But the other partner may be wondering, like, where do I fit into this? This can also just be someone kind of stepping into a good energy, like, oh, I finally know what I want to do. I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to do this, or I just got, a good job. It doesn't have to be like you're in the newspaper and everything like with the star card. It's just one partner's in a really good place and the other partner's thinking, how do I measure up, or what's going on with me? So there could be some questioning there. There's communication differences that I'm picking up on as well. I feel like there could be a need to just sort of have some time apart. So this could just be, a night with friends. It could be spending some time with family. It could be the 2 of you getting away and trying to sort of like change up the mood a little bit so it's not so critical. So that's what I'm picking up on, is just some one partner's in a higher frequency, one's in a lower, communication's off, and you need to sort of get on the same page. It's the main thing. Guess what, though? We have really good cards here in the future and the outcome, near future and the outcome. So I think you can work through it. I actually really feel good about it if you want to. If you've chosen to move on, you're also making the right choice here with the star and the 6 of wands. So whatever you decide to do, and remember, all is possible, choose your path, you're making the right choice, okay? If you're looking for love this month, there's a lot of eyes on you. We've got the star card. We also have King of Cups, which is how you're showing up, but it could also be the kind of energy that you're also pulling in. So someone that's expressive, someone that's strong, you're going to meet your match possibly with that. So be ready for that. I like what I see here overall. You might actually be pulling in a very similar energy. These are outgoing cards. So the Star and the Six of Wands, this is someone who's really comfortable being in public. This is someone who also is getting the attention. So either you're pulling in someone that has this sort of outgoing personality, or the two of you might get a lot of attention, or you have both that sort of that outgoing energy. The Star may be the sort of shy one, oddly enough, because the Star could be freshly out of the Hermit phase. Hermit leads into a Star, so maybe one partner is a little bit more comfortable being out with the relationship than the other one. This is true of anything that starts up. So I feel like there's one person that really, really knows what they want. The other person feels it, but might not be there yet. So just take your time. Remind the other person that you validate the emotions, but if you need time, ask for time. Balance is the key thing. So just make sure that both partners are getting what they want. If you're single and happy, if you're widowed, if you're retired, if you're not looking at love anymore, here's what matters for you. Your emotional happiness and stability really shines through the biggest and the brightest for me. And this to me could be deciding to, take on a hobby or a craft or something that you really, really like and spend some time just for you, shining the light on you. And I think that's important. I see success in whatever you decide to put your time and energy into. I'd like to see some more with the resources for everybody. So we'll look at that. But balance matters. And it feels like how you're spending your time and energy matter a lot. Okay. So that's kind of how I look at love. For me, sometimes I associate the Star with an Aquarius in your life. This is a water sign, so there could be another water sign coming through. It's in yourself though, but you could be attracting another water sign. The other energy to me is more, it's more about communication that's in the past. So when I'm looking at the Knights, coming through, I think that's more about how communication is working. I think that this is more of an offer card than a person. So anyway, strong energy when I'm looking at like Star, King of Cups, Six of Wands, success as well. All right, let's take a look now at your destiny cards. You've got two. And for me, destiny is a trajectory that you're constantly creating. It's not something that's like written in the tablet and you must follow it. You get choices. So we have two beautiful cards and two beautiful symbols here. The seahorse energy says watch and wait. But if I kind of go into the seahorse, because I've used this as a totem before, to me, it's a really great paternal and maternal energy. It's 2 in 1, because like I said, the male carries the eggs and gives birth to them. I'm sure humans would love that opportunity too, so that it wasn't always females having to do this. So I like that there's a shared energy here that exists with being able to also have divine feminine in divine masculine. So let's blur things up a little bit. It doesn't have to be the traditional roles, and you can be strong and sensitive. You can be also like very direct and still be there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you sort of like bad person. So finding directness, sensitivity, leadership, all the positive attributes, it can all be there. There is a waiting energy here. So maybe you are kind of like more on the fence on something, and that's okay. I don't want you to wait forever though, because ultimately that's a fertile card. Like it holds all the eggs. So I would say, let it go. Let's see where this heads, right? We have the starfish here, open up to infinite possibility. I spoke yesterday about starfish. What's really cool about them is they have regenerative energy. So depending on where it's cut or severed, mostly like if you just cut off like the lower portion of it, it'll just grow it back. But if you actually get a little bit of the centerpiece, there's the DNA there to create another star. So if you cut in just a little bit to the center, then that's actually a way it can divide, and you'll get 2 starfish. And some fish actually divide in the center. So what's cool about this, the reason it says infinite possibilities, is you can keep making more of the same. So we have a divine feminine and masculine card here. Now we have kind of like an asexual card here, which is more about like, hey, all of us have the ability within us to just create. So I see infinite possibilities here. If you lost something, you can recreate it. If you feel not whole, this is saying you are whole. You have everything that you need with or without the other person. So I see recovery. I see regeneration. I see partnership in the future where the roles are going to be either flipped or they don't matter anymore, and the two of you support each other in a great way. In life in general, for single and happy, for people that are focusing on career, flexibility. That's what I see with those two. Be flexible, be open, try different things. And again, if you've lost something, you have the power to recreate it and to call it back into your life. It's not fun when we lose something, but it also shows us how much of a survivor we are, right? All right, let's quickly review all of this. But before I do that, let me just grab a piece of paper and write down a couple of thoughts here for the soul path, which we're going to look at right after this. So I noticed that the Two of Pentacles was here. So I want to look at how we can call in more abundance. So let me write that down. Call in abundance. And let me just do a quick audit. I think we're pretty good on having one of everything. We have swords, we have wands, we have cups. We just talked about pentacles. So I think what I'd like to really look at is the star opportunity for you, how you can step into just being comfortable in your own shoes. So I'm just going to put here, be the star, and I'll remember what that is. I'll just put shoes to comfort. All right, there we go. And then I usually pull a wild card as well. All right, so let's do a quick review. If you just joined, perfect timing. Even if you have been here all along, you're still going to get some great messages because I pick up on new things each time I do it. And Apollo came out from his nap in the background. I'll pull him up at the end if I remember. All right, so the peacock today came through as a reminder that we can be bold, that we can be seen. I mentioned the star energy, and it in fact did come through. Take action and be in that spotlight if you're ready for it. I love the iridescent feathers on the peacock. I love that they have that ability to connect with different wavelengths of light depending on the way the structures were fashioned. And I kept showing you that crystal that I have, labradorite, that has the same sort of ability to just catch the light in a special way. So I want you to look at things from different angles and not simply expect that the first glance is going to reveal everything, particularly people, because there's multiple levels to their personality. The female peahen, basically is what they're called, has this special plume of feathers on the top of its head, and it helps it pick up on the sensitivity or the frequency that a male peacock makes, and it's a crest, that's the word. But it kind of looks like what you would see on a Trojan soldier's head, that sort of, or centurion soldier's head. And that's basically, they're kind of like these psychic, almost like satellites that are picking up on vibrations. And whenever the peacock kind of shows its fan of feathers, then it makes a certain vibration that they pick up on. I mentioned earlier that people can have a way of getting into your head sometimes, so just tune it out. That's the message here. Try not to kind of give into a crush or into an infatuation or obsession. Really ground yourself, meditate. That's going to be important. The other piece was to tune into nonverbal ways of communication. Subtle words, subtle messaging is also going to be important. What you hear for the first time isn't the full story. You've got to go. It's kind of like a song lyric. When you're older and you listen to certain things, you're like, oh my God, that's what they meant. Usually you sing songs that as a child you probably shouldn't, and you hear it as an adult and it makes you blush. Same sort of thing there. Sometimes there's something that's right in front of your face, but you're not picking up on it. So body language, eye contact, word choice, you have to listen. And that's what we saw here with this page of swords. This page is not speaking, it's listening. A good way of communicating is to listen. Listen first, listen more. And then when you speak, really show what you've been listening to. Hummingbirds and butterflies have that same sort of iridescent energy that I was talking about. It's showing that change is en route. It's really a question of if you're ready for that change. One thing that I learned was that peacocks molt and they lose a lot of their tail feathers, maybe all of them. And so don't worry, again, if you lose a part of yourself, just like the peacock, just like the starfish. This is part of the process sometimes of regeneration. And you need to sort of let that go. And that's why we got the Six of Swords here in the deep past, or recent past, rather. Release the old baggage in your life. Again, letting go. Lighten that load and understand that some good things await you. My guides also showed me a pending or approaching movement in your life 2 to 3 months from present. But there was a barricade, there was a block. It seemed like it was a block that you were creating. The encouragement here was to not be afraid to sort of open up to possibilities. You get to weigh out the decisions. As I'm reading this card, I have a little bit of a pain in my solar plexus, which usually has to do with power dynamics. So there could be someone in your life that is afraid of seeing you fly. But guess what? You can fly no matter what. Okay? Be open to exploring new opportunities. Don't let fear or uncertainty hold you down. Clear your intentions and ask the tough questions that you need to know of other people, of yourself. Go into that space. And for some of you, that's what the tsunami was about. Sometimes you just feel like that's a lot to process. You're not alone, though. That's the important thing here. I saw dancing happening, and both partners were taking the lead from time to time, taking turns leading, taking turns following. That's how any great relationship happens. Sometimes you can have two leads, doesn't matter. Collaboration and partnership is the key here. It's give and take. If you need to, slow down. We saw the Six of Swords coming through. Get some time, get some space, get some clarity. Recharge, dream, and rest. And in that dreaming process, just start to imagine that that dream is already a reality. It's a very great way for you to step into manifestation. We have the return here, returning to yourself, finding yourself, returning to a path that you want. Could actually be some sort of a astrological return happening for you as well. Whatever it is, it's good. It looks good. We got the star shining here, and it feels like you're drawn to that necessary move. The reversal of this is just showing that it might have been something that you've been denying yourself or kind of like putting off, and now's the time to take care of it. Slowing down, which we talked about, or maybe that you're not satisfied with the speed of something that's happening. The Knight of Swords reverse can show that. We also have two reversals here with the Ace and the Knight. So there's a lot of critical energy. There's a lot of direct communication. Soften that towards yourself if you need to. Also soften it towards others. You can say no in a lot of different ways. So figure out what makes sense for you and for the audience. Keep an open mind. Realize that communication needs to be validated. Take a break if you need it. Understand that mourning takes time, but the sooner you're ready to step into something positive, the sooner that comes through. And there's a lot of positivity that I see here. Cut any sort of conditional energy. We see that sword cutting through the nonsense, and I like that. Realize that you're the spider, not the web, and that's something that I talked about yesterday, so you're creating it, you're not stuck. The star card here, it's your time to shine. That's why I saw a peacock earlier. There might be a little bit of shyness or uncertainty, but I see success ultimately here. We have a King of Cups energy, highly expressive, highly sensitive. This is you. This could also be who you're calling in. I see a similar energy here, very sort of outgoing energy. So whether that person pulls you into your true sort of potential or you're pulling someone into that, I see some good stuff coming through there. Work-life balance is so important right now. Finances are important as well. We're going to look at how to call in more abundance in just a moment. Listen. Literally listening is the key thing right now. Spend more time listening, spend more time validating. And then if there's anything that you need to sign on the dotted line, I see a couple of revisions that are necessary. Both parties can end up winning. So I see a good outcome. Six of Wands, recognition, success, the star, success, being chosen. There were people saying, will I be the one? Will this happen? This looks pretty good, but this card here in the environment tells me there might be some other issues with support, with compensation, with things like that. So just because you get a yes doesn't mean that that's going to be a yes that you want to take. The wake-up call here, many of you opening up to your psychic sensibilities, your psychic senses, some of you dealing with things that have been overwhelming, but it could also just be a wake-up call where you decide to just take better care of yourself. Things are catching up with you, but it isn't yet a tower moment. The tsunami begins out at sea. It hasn't hit the land, so you can slow this down. And that's a good message here. Overall, your health messages are pretty good. The main thing that I'm seeing here could be literal balance or life balance. So definitely focus on that. I would say the other thing here, there's a lot going on in your head space here with the Knight of Wands reversed. Getting some space, clearing the air is going to be important. And if you're going through any grief, because Six of Swords and Five of Cups can definitely be grief, then take a moment or two to sort yourself out and figure out how you're going to deal with all of that. Okay, so moving on to wealth, really make sure that you're choosing the next path because you want to do it, or that you are doing something that you've chosen to do. Anything's possible. All is possible. Like I said, though, there might be timing that's kind of at play where you can't do everything that you want immediately. There's some choices you have to make on where you want to focus your energy. I want to see more abundance here. I feel like some of you might be over-delivering, over-promising, and it's kind of pulling that thread too thin here with the Two of Pentacles. So we'll take care of that. Ultimately, success, though, in everything that you touch this month, Scorpio, love, relationship, health, etc., we see success. So you just have to make some smart choices. In relationships, we went through this at pretty decent length, but it says, look to your inner strength. So you're not leaning on other people, you're leaning on yourself, you're stronger than you realize. Again, ways of communicating, needing some space and distance, having one partner that might be doing a little bit better. For those of you in love, those are the messages. For those of you looking for love, the importance here is that you are still able to do what you want to do. There could be someone in your life too that has a hard time seeing you shine. I just see a lot of attention coming through. So don't let somebody hold you back from stepping into that this month. And for those of you that are single and happy, good for you. Focus on getting your heart and head in the right position. Focus on getting your resources balanced. And I see some really great things on the horizon. When we're looking at the Destiny cards, both of them are about flexibility, about delivering on something, about recuperating on any losses that you might have. Ultimately, I really like what I see. All right, let's move along to your soul path. Special thanks to Alicia and to Phoenix Rising for your contributions. I appreciate that. And also to, yes, that was everyone that did that. All right, so let's take a look now at calling in abundance. That was my first question. Of course, because you only have the Two of Pentacles. So Two of Pentacles we can deal with, but I'd like to figure out how you can really maximize this and not feel stressed or strained. So calling in more abundance. Okay, we have the Three of Pentacles. I'll take it. This is good. Three of Pentacles is a great card. It's not so much about finance. For some of you, the Three of Pentacles is recognition. So because the Two of Pentacles came in the environment, this can come through when it's time, when you're kind of overdue for recognition. Sometimes when we're in a place where there's a glass ceiling, or where there is jealousy, or where there's a lack of just maybe generosity, or people aren't paying attention, this goes unnoticed. So you've been doing what you need to be doing in a relationship, at a job, in life in general, but you're feeling like, hey, I'm over here. The good news is you can take that energy anywhere you want to. If you can't get the recognition that you need, deserve, or have earned where you're at, by all means, take that drum and beat it somewhere else and kind of get someone else's attention, just like the peacock. It's sort of like the person that's supposed to be tuning in isn't. You've got those beautiful feathers, go somewhere else, and that energy will be picked up on, okay? So this is a good card. For some of you, this is about deciding, I want to go back to school. To me, it's usually higher education, higher training, higher knowledge. It's not just a random class. It's something that you really are going to sink your teeth into and get a lot out of. It doesn't have to be college. It can be an internship, or it can be, but usually Eight of Pentacles is an internship. I would say this is something you really know you want to do, and you're going to invest what you need to on that, and it's going to be worth it. And you will succeed at that, okay? Some of you have already gone through the school of hard knocks, and this is graduating from that and saying, I learned this lesson, and I'm not going to do this again. I'm ready for the next thing. It's time to fight for recognition. You'll get it, so don't be afraid to do it. I just feel like you have to see your own worth too. So in a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, you would see someone that's really focused on the task at hand. They're creating something. It's like an architect, and there's people that are looking at them. Sometimes you get so lost in the perfectionist tendencies, which can be like this Ace of Swords, chiseling away at something that you've lost the big picture. Hey, you're done. You're actually finished. So it's time to let something go. It's time to graduate. It's time to move on. Better things await. Okay. So I like all of that. Okay. So let's take a look now at being the star, stepping into the spotlight. The Hermit. I thought there was a little bit of Hermit energy in this star, and we've got it. So in the major arcana, a traditional card, you can't see it so much in this one, there would be a lantern that the Hermit holds, and inside the lantern is a star. You learn about yourself when you're in the Hermit phase. You realize your power, but you're holding back. You're literally kind of in this cape. It's almost like the transformative cape that you would see on Azrael or Death. So sometimes we have to let go and mourn the loss of what could have been or what we were in order to become what we need to be. And then we have this beautiful sort of like stag spirit that's coming out of the Hermit energy. So there's so much more awaiting you. So many of you are in that stage of disbelief. So I've talked about this before, and in fact, it's a nice segue. Just because something's written down on a piece of paper, just because you receive recognition, a diploma, a new title, you're not so different from day to day, like from second to second. 1 second you had it, 1 second you don't. All of a sudden things are supposed to change. There's some internal belief that needs to happen. You need to believe in your power. You need to step into the power and the strength and the sort of worth that you've created. And suddenly you'll start to feel a really positive shift happening. But there's an internal piece that has to happen first. So you've done the work, but you have to believe the work. You have to believe in yourself. And then when you do, oh my goodness, people have been waiting for that too. All right. So I see success, but I see a block, and I see the block being disbelief or the environment. There's people around you that have blinders on, right? Like kind of like 8 of Swords or 2 of Swords. They don't want to see it. So in that case, you know who you are, you know what you need to do. You know, this isn't the place, and you know, you're going to find it somewhere where you can really be your full self. Okay. Okay, now for the wild card, which can kind of really help you step into being powerful and being happy and whatever else the universe wants us to look at. Okay, so for some of you, this is there's a full stop energy here coming through. So just so you can see it, it's the 10 of Swords. This particular 10 of Swords is really graphic. I have to say, it's someone that's like they're cutting off, so they can't hold on, cutting off the fingers. The 10 of Swords is always a graphic card in tarot, so I'll just hold it back so we're not focusing on the carnage so much. What the 10 of Swords can be is a fear of failure, by and large. If we look at the traditional 10 of Swords, those swords can be ones that we put into ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough. This won't happen. People don't love me. I never get what I want. You're actually starting to create all of these blocks. That barricade that I saw is this. So it can be a fear of failure. It can be a fear of success. What if I succeed and I can't keep doing it? Or if people find out that I'm not the real person, I'm not the real deal. All of those things that we put into our head as a bad sort of script, we need to reset. What if I succeed? What if this works out? What if this is better than I thought it could be? What if I actually I'm at the tip of the iceberg of my own potential? What if I surprise myself in a positive way? Put those questions in your head instead. Reprogram. The worst that will happen is something doesn't work out, but it's never as bad as the 10 of Swords implies it will be. That's an internalized fear. So you need to let go of the fear of the 10 of Swords. Now, if there is a legitimate 10 of Swords happening in your life, it's a good thing because it tells you that you don't want any more of that. So if you have a breakup, if there's something going on at work, if there's something in your life, even a health wake up, when you experience that punctuated moment, like this doesn't feel good, this isn't right, you've just been gifted an ultimate clarity on what you should and shouldn't do. So ultimately, I see this more as a fear than an actuality. So don't be afraid of failing. Be afraid of not being able to shine and not being able to explore your soul's calling. And then release that fear and say, I'm going to go after this. I'm that stag spirit that we see here. Once you do that, you're going to pick up momentum too. So that reverse knight starts to pick up. This card is reversed, which is really muting it and saying it's an end to this. You've been there. You've done that. You're not going to feel that fear or feel the rejection in the future. Not in the same way. So there you go. I actually kind of don't. I'm one of the few people that I don't mind if I get a Tower or a 10 of Swords or a Death card because it tells me where the full stop is. And for you, it's a fear because everything in this spread is positive. We didn't get Towers and Devils and other things here. We just have one card here in the future and other things to think about. It's way out there in the abstract energy. So don't put too much energy in this. And by the way, if there is someone that will not help you, disconnect from that person before you have to go through a 10 of Swords, okay? Because that person really doesn't understand or want to sort of support you in the way that they need to. Let's meditate. Let's cut the cords. We're going to do a cord cutting here. And after the meditation, we will regroup, and I'm going to answer your question that you have for me. So I said earlier, if you have a question about love, career, finance, self, or something going on in your life, hold it. And after the meditation, I'll answer it. A couple of quick notes before I get into the meditation. If you would like to follow me on social media, I'd love for you to do that. I put a recap of all of these cards, usually 24 hours later. It usually takes me a day just because I'm a one-person company here. So I do the best that I can. But if you want to follow me on social media, I will post a little link to those cards so you can read it. Plus I type out the recap. And about a day later here in the description, you'll see it as well. On YouTube, there's a community tab and all the information will be found there. Instagram and Facebook, I post the picture and I post the recap. And I usually do a weekly reading on TikTok, and sometimes I do lives, and I do lives on Instagram too, about one a week if I have a chance. On Twitter, you can follow me at Ashbaugh. And if you've enjoyed this, a free way to show support is just that thumbs up. And if you've never subscribed, please do that. All of these things are free, and it helps people discover my channel. So it's like a free sort of, it's like applause, right? So if you can do it, do it. Speaking of that, if you want to give back on replay, you can do super thanks, and you can still show support with stickers now. All right, let's get into the meditation. The meditation today is going to be you using the star energy, stepping out of that hermit, becoming the star really. And then in doing so, cutting any of the cords in your life of people that kind of want to keep you down. Because sometimes when we are hermiting, when we are afraid, a lot of the energy is kind of like reductive or kind of like anchoring us. So we're going to do a sort of twilight energy here in the meditation. Close your eyes for a moment. Again, we'll be back after the meditation to look at your questions, so stick around. As you close your eyes, I want you to imagine that you are at the edge of the forest. Maybe you can see the ocean or a lake in front of you, but you have the safety of the forest right behind you. And at this clearing, you're able to look up at the stars above you. Beautiful, clear night, imagining that you're perhaps in a part of the world where you can see clearly, whether it's maybe like somewhere like Scandinavia, like Iceland or Sweden, or somewhere where it's far enough north that it's away from pollution, and you can see all of the beautiful stars above you. And as you're looking up there, you are seeing one star in particular, and it's not the North Star. It's actually not in the constellation that you recognize. Just this beautiful, bright star that seems to be getting closer and closer with each breath that you take. The light and the rays that are shining on this card are on this on this star are brilliant, and they're connecting with your heart. Imagine that you're a little bit like the hermit that you would recognize in tarot. You have this cape around you, and you're kind of hiding who you are, but this star won't let you get away with that. As it starts to shine brilliantly on you, the cape that you have starts to disintegrate, and it's just you. It's just your energy. And your body is not a human body, but it's this resplendent light being beneath it. And as the star starts to connect with your heart, eventually it lands in your heart, and you start to shine. You start to see in every direction as you shine rays of light, who you can count on, what opportunities await you, what your true path, what your true calling is. You also see all of the things that have been tying you down, all of the things that have been holding you back. Let's take a deep breath and imagine that with one burst of light, almost like a supernova, you're going to disintegrate all of that nonsense and become the star that you were always meant to be. Seeing rays of light shooting in each and every direction, disintegrating the unnecessary connections, creating new and important connections that will help you, and now just allowing your light to shine, starting to rise up in the sky and start to head towards the direction that you need to be, towards your true soul path and your true calling. Take a moment as you are in this beautiful resplendent state, shining above the ocean, seeing your rays of light glimmering on the water surface, seeing all of these rays of light reaching towards the possibilities, to just realize how amazing you are, to see how brilliant that soul is. And bring this energy back into your human body as you start to breathe normally, as you start to call that inner star back into your body, coming also through the heart center, just as it did in the meditation, and allowing for that higher version of yourself now to kind of like snap into this physical grid that we have here. And keep with you the message that you can do this, that you can rise above, that you can regenerate, just like that star card, that you're able to do all that you set your mind to. Gently open your eyes if you haven't already, and I want you to meditate on the final question that you have for me. This can be anything. Just hold it in your mind, hold it in your heart, and let's see what the message is. Ace of Cups, which I'll take. Ace of Cups is reversed. So there's always a caveat on the ace cards if they're reversed. Ultimately it's a yes, but it's a not yet for many of you. The thing that's holding you back is that for an Ace of Cups to really be what it needs to be, there has to be that overflowing. Like, I believe that I am more than enough. I have more than enough resources, more than enough time, more than enough. So I want you to really get into that belief and understanding that you are more than enough and that you're willing to receive, not just give. So for many of you, this is also the answer to the question, how do I get more abundance? I'm going to receive more. I'm going to ask for more. And when I ask for it, I'll really believe that I need to receive that and I deserve to receive that. So receive more, listen more. And then ultimately, this is a yes. It's a good news card. So focus on that internal shift of perspective. And then remember here that once the sort of mourning or disbelief is gone, we have the Two of Cups here in the background. So I definitely see an opportunity for improvement in happiness, in health, in relationships. And this can be an offer that's coming through, but it has to be one that really makes you happy. Okay. There's something here I feel like you could kind of sweeten that up a little bit to make sure that it feels right for you. So one last sort of recap, and then we're going to wrap up. Ultimately, really good energy here. We saw the Hermit coming through, reminding you that you are entering into a star phase, but there has to be that belief of your worth. We see the Three of Pentacles, which can show that it's time to graduate. It's time to move on. And for many of you, that means moving away from something. And that's what we saw here with the Six of Swords here. So if it's time to step away because you're not getting what you need, or you've learned everything that you can from a certain path, that's fine. The only thing that can hold you back is fear of failure or fear of success. Let's let go of that sort of imposter card and focus instead on this really happy Ace of Cups card. But again, there's this feeling of you need to believe that you deserve it. You need to be ready to receive it, and then you're okay. I like what I've seen today. The only card to be mindful of are the fear cards here. Hey, buddy. I'm going to pull Apollo up in a second. He's sparking in his sleep, so I'll wake him up. But anyway, those are the messages for today. If you want to hear any of the other August messages, I've got all of them live right now. The September one, which is what this is, I'm about almost half, little close to 3/4 way through the reading. So continue to watch. Let's see, I'm doing Scorpio now, so I'll be back later this week to look at Sagittarius and Capricorn. That'll be Thursday and Friday. I'm live every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday and Monday. And Sundays are collectives, at least for the next month or two. I'm going to experiment with that. We'll see how that goes. And that means everybody can show up. So you can go to my website for more information on all of that. And I put the link up above. My whole schedule for past and future videos for the live is there. And you can see all the dates and check it out. Also, at the end, I always like to just remind you, I have a book. If you are a fan of fantasy and sci-fi, like Lord of the Rings or Dune, longer books, not short reads, check it out. Otherwise, just show up here. We end up talking a lot about mythology and things like that. Let's pull Apollo up for the very end. He's a little sleepy, so we'll be kind if he has bedhead. Hey, buddy. Want to say hi to everybody? I hope that everybody enjoyed today's reading. If I forgot to say thank you to anybody that gave a contribution, know that I appreciate it. And I do read the chat later. His hair is all in his face. I know, buddy. What's going on? He says, Dad, I was just sleeping. All right, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you so much. A fantastic month ahead as well. Feel free to watch the videos for your sun, rising, and moon if you happen to know them. And in the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you all soon. All right. Get some rest or get a walk, depending on what time it is. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.